Okay, here we are. Hello and welcome. Welcome back. I have with me Richie from Team Skin Demon, and we'll be discussing their game Fallen Immortals. So let's get it started, Richie. A bit about yourself, your studio, and then where did the game come from?
Yep. So, Studio Scheme Demon. There's five of us: it's myself, Michael, Sam, Sophie, and Jack.
Mhm,
And we all graduated from GCU University in Glasgow.
mhm.
Um, and we came together to make a game called Fallen Immortals. Which is it's a kind of third person 3 versus 3 arena kind of battler type thing where you play as like different characters and they've all got different kind of magical abilities and you fight for control over crystals and all sorts of things.
I see. Awesome. The gameplay is looking quite responsive. I quite love it already. That's a very subjective something I noticed. But yeah, so did the inspiration come from any other games or experience you've had with games to go this so into this sort of genre, or did you just want to try things out?
Yeah, so basically everyone in the team does kind of just like fantasy kind of based games.
Okay.
And a lot of people in the team have played games like League of Legends, which is like obviously like you've got lots of different characters, it's all ability based and all that kind of thing. So we kind of wanted to make something in a similar-ish vein,
Hmm.
but with kind of quicker kind of play sessions and easier to kind of jump in and out of the game and have it as a more kind of third person as opposed to isometric
I
kind of
see.
thing.
Okay, cool. Um, what are you most happy with in the game? I'm seeing plenty of VFX on the screen, and it's one of the most eye-catching things.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we're quite proud of is there's three characters in the game at the moment, and each character there's you select what element you want to be. So
Hmm.
you've got fire, water, wind, and earth. So when you're in game, you pick the element you want, and that will change all of your abilities.
Right.
Um, they will be kind of similar, but it will change the effect of your abilities. So like if you have like the fire element selected, one of your abilities might apply a burn to the enemy, whereas if you pick the earth one, that ability will then stun the enemy instead of apply the burn. So it kind of adds for a lot more replayability and kind of different kind of tactical gameplay where you kind of like pick the element that either gives you what you think is a bigger advantage or kind of uh, goes with your sort of play style. As like the water element is like a little bit more supportive, and the fire element is a little bit more damage focused. So you can pick like any character you want and kind of play more to your style by picking the element that you want.
I see. I see. Is that something that you would say you're most proud of design-wise within the game?
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
One of the things, um, and just how the game looks, and when we've every time that we've tested it, we've just had lots and lots of fun playing it, just like running into each other, having a brawl, using all these abilities and whatnot.
Yeah. No, it's looking great. The VFX stood out the second the gameplay went through on screen. It's great. It's great. Um, how much did this development or like this plan for elements? Did this concept ever evolved as you were working on the game throughout Enterprise Buffer?
Well, I said there's more that we want to put in. So we want the elements to like interact with each other in certain ways so that when you're in a fight, you can combo certain elements together.
I see.
Um, and we also kind of have plans to have certain elements affect the map.
Okay.
So if there was like some water in the level, you could use an ability to freeze that water to then give yourself like an additional pathway
I
across the
see.
map and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. So is that the route you're sort of going, like trying to base stuff on the elements and how the player can interact with other players using them, as well as the environment itself. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, yeah. We want to make it like really, really team focused, so that you
Yeah.
can work together as a team to try and overcome your enemies.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's really interesting. I'm not sure you mentioned it, so can you actually chain the elements two together with as two players to?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
We had to kind of like cut that for the prototype that we made.
So
But that's what we want to
it
go
was
on
in
to.
there initially. So you want
Yeah,
to
so it was
yeah.
an initial plan to have that, but we just didn't have the time to
Mhm.
get it into
Yeah.
the game properly.
How much did you actually have to cut out of the project?
Um, just those kind of like two things that I
Oh, okay.
mentioned there, the kind of chaining of elements and having an effect on the map.
Mhm.
We managed to get the three characters, each with their own different element sets. So there's the kind of samurai, which has its water, fire, earth, wind, and then the monk, which is the four elements, and the
Mhm.
witch character, which has the four elements as well. So although there's three characters in the game, we've kind of, in a sense, made 12 characters because with
Yeah.
the elements changing how the abilities work.
I see where you're going. It's 12 different experiences you can actually have with the
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
interactions with the game, which is brilliant. It's a great and a smart design move. So maybe a tip to any designers out there. Um, how much do you think thought went into selecting a target audience? Because from what I've seen, it is combat-based multiplayer.
Yeah. Yep.
So, who would you like to play this sort of video game? Who do you think would want to play this?
I think just most people with the kind of with who like the kind of fantasy style and setting,
Mhm.
and people from kind of or people kind of from the MOBA genre.
Okay.
But this is a kind of more simplified thing, so it's also, we feel like, more accessible to kind of casual players as well that kind
Yep.
of want to jump in without like a steep learning curve, so to speak.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's kind of who we're aiming at.
Okay. Have you had much playtesting happening throughout the enterprise pathway?
We've had a little, not as much as we wanted to. We
Mhm.
have had a bit, and we got like a lot of feedback on that,
Mhm.
which we have acted on. We've not managed to address all the feedback. So some of the things that we've had to change over time is, to begin with, the combat felt quite floaty, but
Mhm.
we've tried to make things feel a bit more deliberate and have attacks feel like they've got weight behind them and things like that.
Okay.
Which has helped the kind of overall feel of the game.
Okay, since you mentioned that, what sort of route are you planning on continuing this low-key realistic graphics route, or would you be looking to change that?
Well, this is the kind of, definitely the kind of aesthetic that we kind of want to
Okay.
follow and continue with.
I see. How was it like setting up this multiplayer? Because I know it can be quite challenging getting that going for the games. I would love to hear
that
about
was
it.
a nightmare, absolute nightmare.
Any
By the end
tips?
of the project, we were just like, why did we decide to make a multiplayer game? It was a real challenge. Like,
Mhm.
there's just so much more to think about when you're developing the game. Things take like 4 times as long, and then when you've got one little problem, it takes so much longer to fully like debug and test it and make sure that it's working on the client side, it's working on the server side, it's working, everything's seeing everything, and it's all syncing up properly. It was a big challenge for us, but we just kind of worked through it and just tried to adapt our kind of development approach to make sure whenever something was implemented, that it was kind of properly and fully tested to make sure that there was no issues with it. And
Mhm.
then, so when we put something in the game, we make sure it works, and then we move on to the next thing, and hopefully that way there's less bugs that appear overall during the development process.
Yeah, makes sense. What engine did you actually make the game in? Because I'm sure that question might appear. Unreal 4, yeah.
Yeah.
I think all most, if not all, of the games we had today were actually made in Unreal 4.
Just as well.
Yeah. um, are you looking to expand with the game mechanics first, or would you want to expand the amount of characters or elements you have?
So yes, we want to add in more characters. I think our um, our next kind of plan is to get three more characters into the game.
Hmm.
Again with all the elemental variations as well, and get that kind of polished up. And I think the end goal before, if we get the game to a kind of release point, would be to have a total of 9 characters.
Okay.
And then if we get a successful release, we'd want to continue to support the game and release more characters as kind of time went on.
Great. Sounds great. Sounds great. So it is without a doubt a project with a big scope, right? But I think your team has managed to get the core content in, right? We have the combat, we have the elements. It's sort of players should have an idea what's to come. Like this is an indication what's sort of what may await them in the future, right?
I mean, it was a real challenge for us to get all this done in 3 months. Like this is like a brand new project for Transfuser,
Hmm.
so it's been really tough for us just working on this just from the very start up the ways. But I think we managed to do well for what we've got at the moment.
Hmm. Hmm. Would you like to touch more maybe on what was most difficult in the project other than the multiplayer aspect of it?
Oh, other than the multiplayer aspect.
And maybe how you overcame it as a team? Because I think with your sort of project, it's really impressive to have put something like that together. So I would imagine you've overcame many hurdles to get to that point.
I think one of the other issues that we had was making sure the overall gameplay felt smooth.
Hmm.
So that obviously there's a lot of particle effects, and when you're in the middle of a fight and there's a lot of things going on, you don't want things to start to slow down or lag.
Yeah.
And we were having an issue with that where certain attacks were just like really reducing frame rate and things like that.
Hmm.
And it took us a while to figure it out, but it was all to do with the character animations.
I see.
Because I think it was because we were using root motion when we shouldn't have been, and then when we kind of reconfigured all the animations to not use it, it then started to smooth everything up, and the game started to flow a lot better.
Wonderful, wonderful. There you have it, guys. Don't give up on your animations. So what's your team's ambition going forward past Enterprise Pathway?
Well, our goal is to kind of keep working on the game, refine it, polish it a bit more, add in 3 more characters, really flesh out the map. Another thing that I don't know if it was if it got shown in the gameplay at all, but we're gonna have like dynamic map events in the game. So there's a clip of one of the structures getting destroyed and kind of blocking off an area of the map.
I think we've
So
seen
we
that
want
on
to have
stream,
like
yeah.
a few of these different things going on whilst the game's happening. We want to have them work in a kind of somewhat random basis, so that if you play the same map twice in a row, your game experience is going to be different because the events that happen in the map are going to change from game to game,
Hmm.
and it'll just kind of keep things fresh when you're playing the game.
Okay. I'm quite intrigued in that, especially the environment interaction, the one that is already in place. We just saw on stream actually. We saw the buildings get destroyed. It's brilliant. It's brilliant, and I think the only game that from the top of my head that I can think of that is like PvP with the environment that can be destroyed is maybe Fortnite. I'm sure I'm missing some games, but from top of my head, the most obvious one is that. So I think you're certainly heading in an interesting direction, right? Because there might be areas where someone might be hiding, and then other player can actually or break through it, etc. Right? So that
This gives like more options during kind of like engages in
certainly,
gameplay.
certainly, yeah, no, it's really cool. Um, so in terms of thematics, players can pick different elements, right? But each character has like a they they have their base core abilities, right? So can you maybe walk me through one of the characters? For example, the one we got currently on screen. If you could maybe talk about them and sort of like the abilities development. Um,
What was that? Sorry.
well, one of on number 2 they have a green shoe ability.
Green. Are they holding a staff?
Yes,
Right. Okay. Right. So that's the witch.
that's the
So
witch. Okay.
this character is kind of a little bit more support focused. So they've got first of all a kind of ranged attack projectile, which allows them to kind of stay away from like dangerous combat. But they've also got buffs, which they'll apply to themselves and their team to like help with the team fights. So they have a kind of self buff and they've got an AoE buff. Those buffs will change element to element. So I think the wind variation will give teammates like a speed boost. The water one will do a heal. The fire one will increase the team's damage. And I think the earth one applies a debuff to the enemy as opposed to buffing their team. So they all kind of like work in a different way.
I see. Awesome. May I ask which character did the green tornado that we've seen on screen? There was a big green tornado.
That was the witch. I
Was
think.
that the witch? Oh, I couldn't
Yeah.
tell from her abilities. It's looking brilliant. I really enjoyed the VFX in your project. So, kudos to your VFX person. How was your team balance actually for this sort of game? Because we're looking at animation, we're looking at VFX, we're looking at environment, game design because of all the abilities. It is a complex project that you got on your hands.
And we've got so there's 5 of us. There's three programmers and 2 artists. We don't actually have a dedicated designer, so the game has just been designed by us collectively as a team.
Hmm.
It would have been great to have like a specialized designer, but I think it's been really good for everyone in the team to have as much creative input as the next person.
I
So
see.
everyone's really been happy with the direction that's gone in.
I see. Yeah, no, that is really interesting. Would you maybe have any tips for teams out there that maybe don't have a designer, how to maybe find your way to finding what the project is, you know?
I think a lot of it comes from just playing games in general. Like
Mhm.
obviously playing games you love and finding what parts of those games that you really like, and also finding the parts that you don't quite necessarily like as much, and
Mhm.
taking all the good stuff you can and trying to remove all the stuff that you dislike, so that you yourself make a game that you feel confident and happy with, and when you show other people, you're like, yeah, I think this is a great game. I think you're gonna like it too.
Yeah, fair enough. Good tip, good tip, good tip. Um, so is indie? Why is the indie way to go for you? What do you think makes it
Um,
the best option?
I think for us, I guess it's the amount of control that we have over the project
Yeah.
ourselves.
Mhm.
And obviously, Transfuser's been like a massive help for us to be able to really, really knuckle down and work on this project.
Hmm.
But I guess it allows us to make the game that we essentially want to make. And we all have a passion for. So we're all enthused to work on this. So
Yeah.
we get up in the morning and we're like, right, can't wait to get stuck into this game. And
Nice.
I think being indie really, like, obviously self-motivation is a tough thing, but
Hmm.
when you're just motivated by being excited about it, naturally it just helps your kind of passion for the project overall.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. So when do you reckon we can hear more about the project? when do you reckon there is gonna be a next big update?
Next big update. I don't know when the next big update would be. I guess
I mean,
in our
Digimon is
mind,
okay.
next the kind of like big would be like maybe about 6 months time.
Okay,
We would think there'll be a huge kind of change in the game,
I
or
see.
just like more content.
Mhm.
But I think if you just keep up to date with us on like our social media and stuff like that,
Mhm.
we will see updates as the weeks go on. So there will just be regular updates going on
Yeah.
as time progresses, and you'll just see the game develop.
Yeah, I highly recommend staying in touch. You guys have socials scrolling right through there, so take a note of those. I would definitely be looking to keeping up with you guys. I'm a huge MOBA fan, so yeah, no, I am, and I really look forward to your game's development. I think
Okay.
absolutely. I find it quite intriguing how you have made it so even though it's a MOBA and has the characters. Well, it's not exactly MOBA, but you have dedicated characters, right? But still, each and one of them can kind of iterate on what they do
Yeah.
with the same way, but it's up to them what they choose. So
Exactly.
I think I would love to see your project in the hands of many players. I believe it's on itch.io, right? Yeah, so guys, if you see the itch.io link through there, have a look, play through the game. I would really be curious to find out what's maybe the most overpowered thing in there, or how players how players react to the design, to what you produced, because I think that's, to me, that would be like most interesting to see. So I definitely look forward to like, and I wish you all the best in like with your QA testing as well, because I think that it's really exciting to me, at least, seeing players and like what are they gonna find being the or like a meta for your game, sort of speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Obviously, with a game like this, like balancing abilities and cooldowns and stuff like that is like really important. And if there's
definitely.
something that you can exploit in the game, then it just breaks everything. So it would be really good to like just get lots of people playing it and get all the kind of feedback that we can.
Yeah, get downloading, guys. It's a great game. It looks great. I hope nothing is too OP. But it's part of the fun. It's part of the fun. It's part of the fun for sure.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for more characters, and I think when the more interaction with the environment comes into the play, the gameplay is gonna. I think that's another volume, adds another volume, to what the gameplay actually is, and I think. Yeah, no, it sounds really exciting. I'm really excited for the future of the project. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, so I think we'll be finishing up here, unless you have maybe any stories you would like to share with us, or any shout outs to friends, family, people watching.
Yeah, I've got a couple of shout outs that I'd like to do. I'd like
Yeah.
to shout out Daniel, who basically helped us out with the music that's in the game and a lot of the Foley that worked on. I want to give a wee shout out to Pip, who I think might be coming on later on. We've kind of spoken to him and he's given us some feedback on the game, which has been a massive help. And a shout out to Ross Promotional Products, which have made us our lovely t-shirts.
Wonderful.
So that's the kind of shout outs that I've got for everyone.
Brilliant. Okay. I wish you best of luck with your game's development. I look forward to it. I hope it's balanced. But I also low-key hope it's not balanced in some areas, and that I'll be able to see in what areas, so I have fun. So I can have fun doing it. Yeah.
That's the main thing, having fun.
Okay, thank you so much for chatting with me today. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed the footage of the game you saw, make sure to vote for these guys on the ProtoPlay website and use the hashtag ProtoPlay on any socials if you wanna share some stuff about the game. So yeah, Richie, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and best of luck with the team with the game's development.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you so much.